Let's give it a round of applause for Irene Bedard. So I know for me, I'm really excited to be able to talk to you, being a true Disney girl at heart. And I know that all you Disney fans as well. Are we very familiar with Pocahontas, I assume? Yeah. So I thought maybe we could let's start at the beginning, if you don't mind. Maybe where you got your start. And I know that you were actually born in Alaska.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's take everybody back to the beginning.
Okay, first off, I just have to say that, so my father was Métis Cree, French Canadian and Cree, and he was in the Air Force, and there was a giant earthquake in Alaska, and I believe he got stationed up there, and my mom grew up in the village of Koyuk. She was in Yupik and Yupik, and so he was in the Air Force, and then I was born in Anchorage, and but we got stationed down in Louisiana. So this little tiny baby, because I was tiny as it was anyway, but like, you know, it was extra like weird to have this little tiny baby who looks like me, whose first words were, "Hi, y'all." So, but it's, I grew up in Alaska. I'm back in Yupik, and I always did theater. It was something I started writing when I was a kid, as the oldest child and the oldest grandchild. It was my way of knowing where all the other younger kids were, and like keeping tabs on them, and having fun and playing anyway. But I'm shy by nature, so I studied physics and philosophy first before I went to the University of the Arts and got my theater degree. Basically, I love telling stories, and I love exploring humanity, you know, the mistakes we make, and the love we have, and the things we fight for, and the places we've been and the places we'll go. So I just love my job. I'm so blessed.
So you said that you are shy by nature. Was it hard for you to somewhat break out of your shell when you were doing acting? Or is it almost like a switch that you would flip, like to go from shy me to like outgoing someone else?
Right, and I think a lot of actors do this, but I refer to her as her, you know, even though I'll answer to whatever character I'm portraying as it is. I portrayed Mary Prodog, who wrote this book and was there at the siege of Mutiny in 1973. And I got to meet her, but I had read her book and found myself, because people would be together and they would, you know, say, "Hey, Mary," and I would just turn, because that's what we do. You know, you're getting to kind of slip out of your life and world, and you know, and go into your imagination and your you know, having to do research about studying different cultures or different well, you know, and then again you're like, well, and then I played a general who fought alien bugs. So how do you research that? But still, I mean, there are it's always, I feel like this life is a gift given to us to learn, so I felt like it was always just my next adventure whenever I was going on something, and that it is a way to kind of be outside of myself. Yes.
Yeah, you get to be somebody else.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really great. So, being that you know, so many people, which I find really fascinating, that you did Pocahontas. You are Pocahontas, you know, and that character, so many years later, is still so prominent when it comes to, especially these days, for little girls that want these female characters to look up to. I think that there was a shift at some point where, you know, the Disney characters used to be a long time ago, where the girls needed rescuing, and then there was a shift where now they're kind of doing it for themselves. They're doing the rescuing on their own. So what was it like for you to get the role in Pocahontas and all the things that has meant since then?
I grew up, on Sunday nights, we had, it was the night to watch Disney, because we didn't have the Disney Network. We didn't have the Disney Channel at the time. And so it was a time for us to get together as a family, and I just have so many warm memories of that. So when my very first movie wasn't an animated movie, it was a Disney movie though. When I got that, I already was like, wow, Disney, it's so amazing. And then I got Dakota Woman, playing Mary Crow Dog. And while I was on the set of that, I think because Hene Gigama, who was one of the producers on Dakota Woman, it was Jane Fonda and Hene Gigama. Hene, who I was also one of the advisors for Pocahontas. So I think I was already in the Disney family, and then that brought me to get the chance to meet Mike and Eric, and we just had so much fun. Basically, it was just like a bunch of big kids getting together. I gave them hugs at the end because it was just like, oh, that was so great and so fun. So, but when I was out filming in South Dakota, when I found out that I got it, and it just really hit me, like, this is a legacy. This is something that, my son and grandchildren will know about, right? So it was amazing, but also like, whoa, okay, there's a lot of, you want to make sure that you do everything to the best of its abilities.
Yeah, there's a lot of responsibility that goes with these kind of characters.
Yeah.
Did you think at the time, or could you have fathomed that the popularity of that movie and that character would still, stand the test of time as far as, you're still popular. I mean, I live near Walt Disney World, and we're in the parks all the time. And Pocahontas, you see her on a float now. You see her in different shows, and it's reached a whole other generation. It's just one of those things that keeps going and going. Did you have any idea that it would turn into something so wonderful?
Well, I mean, I guess it really hit me because as I did have an understanding of that legacy that Disney has, but it really hit me at the premiere in Central Park. It was 110,000 people.
Wow.
It's the world's largest premiere ever in the history of filmmaking at the time, and it may still be. I don't know that there's ever been 110,000 people go to a movie premiere before or since. But it was, international attention, but also I think that what made, going to your point before too, that she was not waiting for her prince to come and save her, that she's the one who threw herself upon John Smith and saved him. And that's really what she did historically. And that's really what we wanted everything to kind of lead up to that moment, because what an amazing thing. Now, she was only probably somewhere between 10 and 13 years old when this happened. And can you imagine that, being this young child, basically, to throw themselves in the moment of heroism, and because I think we're all heroes. We all have the ability to be heroic. It's just stepping over that line of our fear and safety for our own lives, and we all have that ability to give and connect and love and protect, all those things, right? So we want to be able to have those connections, but we don't always. Speaking of connections, hello. Welcome. How are you? We have some little ones coming in. I forgot what this question was.
test of time.
Oh, standing the test of time.
And trying to, whether or not you predicted all this can be such a thing still.
Yeah, and I think really what also was an amazing thing was up to this time when I was growing up, you know, there were a lot of stories that pitted, it was the story of America as the indigenous peoples of North America as being the other, the bad, you know. So I didn't get to see a lot of those positive images growing up for myself. So not only was it a positive female Native American character, but it was also an introduction to the world of some of our values, which is respecting our elders, respecting the earth, respecting the coming generations, knowing that each one of us is, you know, so unique that we each have our own path. And that's why, you know, that line was always put in there. And having an understanding that the true treasure is connection and relationship. It isn't gold.
That's wonderful. Speaking of the you know, they say that Disney has the Disney Girls type of group now. And then when you got to do for the Wreck-It Ralph sequel, Ralph Breaks the Internet. Okay, so many people were so excited to see all of you girls together, like all the princesses, and it went everywhere. It was everywhere because it was just something that I think going back to that whole idea of, you know, giving little girls or bigger girls, you know, someone to look up to and have that feeling, and to have all of you together and the actresses together. How was that for you?
Well, you know, it's the best sisterhood ever on the whole entire planet, just saying, you know, still is. So I've known a lot of these amazing ladies for a few years now. And then, but so at D23, it was before Ralph Breaks the Internet came out, we came out and in line of order of appearance, timeline-wise, in the universe. We all came out one by one and introduced each other. And by the end, you know, I got to introduce Anika Noni Rose, and I mean, she introduced, you know, it kept going until we got to our newest edition. And by the end, it was like we were the Beatles. I mean, it was like, you know, clapping, getting louder, and then it was amazing. And I think what also I felt like was amazing about Ralph Breaks the Internet is that, you know, it was all these strong female characters that, you know, came together and saved the day. Basically.
And plus you kind of got to see these characters in a modern way, a modern twist, not from what, you know, you were used to seeing them as. So I thought that was pretty cool also. I know, I'll never forget that when you know, there was spoilers of that whole scene, and, you know, all the girls together, it just exploded. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah.
So in addition to Disney things, which, you know, like everybody adores you for, did you want to tell everybody what else that you are proud of that you have done, and what's the next big thing for you?
It's kind of like, you know, people have asked me, like, well, what's your favorite role that you've played? And it's kind of like asking what my favorite child is. You know, I only have one child, but because they all have something so much that I love about them, and for various reasons. You know, I mean, on the stand, to be able to play, you know, a character that was originally written as a man, you know, to be a gunslinger in the apocalypse, you know, on the stand, and doing, you know, some horror. I've been doing horror, and my friends are like, how are you doing this? Because I can't even watch a Halloween commercial. But yeah, it's been really interesting, of course, in the last couple of years with COVID filming as well. I've filmed quite a few movies, and I produce as well. So I have a limited series with John Leguizamo, John Ortiz, and it's just got put into one of, I think, 3 or 4 series at the Tribeca Film Festival. So
that's wonderful.
we're having our and that is something that is called the Green Veil, and it's something that I'm really looking forward to having come out. It's because it's a powerful story, and I think it really speaks to a lot of the issues really that we kind of have today with, that still continue today. And I can't really talk too much about it. I like this sounding so vague, but yes. So I'm excited.
But something exciting is coming.
Yeah, I really love producing because there's a sense of, for me, of getting to connect a lot of people that I've worked together with before, or people that I've dreamt of working with, or getting to be able to see the whole and imagine the whole universe of whatever it is, whatever the story is, and to be able to propel that story. And I feel like any form of communication is good. I just hope that we can communicate, look each other in the eyes and see each other as human beings a little more than we do. And that's what my grandfather said basically when I left to go to university from Alaska was, he said, "Bunny, what does Inupiaq mean?" And I said, "I don't know," because I was afraid. I didn't want to go all the way across the country. I never, I didn't remember being this far. And he said, "Well, what do you think Inupiaq means?" And I said, "I don't know. I mean, they call us Eskimos, I don't know." And he said, "No, it just means human being. And all you have to do is look people in the eyes, and you'll know whether they're, whether they want to be a human being with you. So just make sure you look people in the eyes." And that's not something, one of our values is humility. And it's, not something that comes naturally, I guess, in our culturally to, look people in the eyes. So, I may be little, but it's helped me, I think, in so many ways. And I love looking people in the eyes.
Well, then that must make you really enjoy doing these type of conventions and things and getting to meet your fans and connect with people. I know that for, you see a lot of, spoke to a lot of other, people in the industry that how for them it's like the best thing because you do have that connection with people. So is that a big reason why you like to do shows like this?
Well, I have to say that, as we discussed, I have my baseline is kind of shy. So when everything was shutting down, I was like, well, okay, I got this. But I'll tell you, I need people. I need hugs and smiles and being in the same room, and to be able to come to the conventions and see everybody just enjoying themselves so much and all the joy. And we're basically just getting to be a bunch of big kids, and we get to just step out of, everything for just a little minute and enjoy each other, and live in our imaginations. I love that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people miss that, when we couldn't do it for that little bit of time, and people are ready to be back out and talking to people again, and I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So did you want to take some questions from the
Sure.
audience? Does anybody have any questions for Irene? Don't be shy.
Hey. So I like a lot of the stuff that you've done. I've noticed that you've done, of course, Pocahontas, but you've done the live action. I really liked Into the West that you were in.
Thank you.
Can you talk about that project a little bit in terms of what it was like filming historically?
So for you out there, she's asked about yes. Into the West, I played Ioyambiapi, Light Shines, Margaret Light Shines Wheeler. And Spielberg, strangely enough, like he was, him being Steven Spielberg, it's just my impression, but from what I understand, he still had to go and take this story and promote it, basically, go and like, I have this story, I want to get this done. He had to describe it as a love story between a Virginian whaler and a Lakota woman. But that's not what it's about. It's a 6-part miniseries that kind of follows how westward expansion affected mostly indigenous peoples. And so my character, Margaret Light Shines, was the daughter of those characters. And my character was supposed to, the last time we were supposed to see her was after Sand Creek Massacre in the prison. We were supposed to be there. And I get a call from one of the line producers who was there, and one of the writers basically saying, because he was filming War of the Worlds at the time, directing War of the Worlds, Spielberg was, but he was producing this, executive producing it. So he was getting what we call the dailies, every day we shoot something and then they send it off to the executives or whatever. Were we filming on film then, or we might have been doing digital by then? No, I think we were film. So the dailies actually were originally film, getting processed, just very, rudimentarily. And so apparently he'd been seeing the dailies and he connected with them and said, keep her. And she wasn't in the Bible that William had written, and that's what we call it. The Bible is it's the book basically that the series is based on. So we refer to it as the Bible. It's the universe that everything is based on. And Margaret Light Shines wasn't there, so I had the wonderful chance to work with the writers and help to create where Margaret was going to go for episodes 5 and 6. So it was, for me, such an incredible experience to just tell the story of how westward expansion affected Native peoples of North America.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
When you first got the role of Pocahontas, how did you feel? How did you feel when you first got it?
I think this happens to me still to this day. It's just like the same way I still get nervous, right? I've been doing this for whatever number of decades now, and I still get nervous on my first day, and I still get nervous right before I'm gonna go out on stage. But yeah, that I have that feeling when I get that call saying, you know what, you got the job, and I'm like, oh. But this was one of those ones where you're like,
were you like petrified?
yes, there's that feeling, like there's a lot holding on this, and you're the title character, so,
Right.
it was I was out filming Lakota Woman out in South Dakota at the time. We did our very first recording session in somebody's basement studio in their house. It was all just the scratch tracks, but it's that surrealism feeling, I was excited, but also it's surreal.
I knew you were going to have one. I saw your smile. Go right ahead.
I was just curious, as an actress, is there one role that you've done that you identify with the most, or if not, is there like aspects of each character that you kind of carry with you afterwards that like you just really connect with?
Yeah, and that's actually something that I have to do still sometimes. I call it decompressing after filming something so intensely somewhere. I had gotten on a plane before, and you're like, you know, in a different century or whatever, and all of a sudden here you are on a plane, and here you are where I lived at the time in New York City, and it's so, you feel like, oh, my soul needs to catch up here. So a lot of times now I, drive away from set so I can have that time to decompress. But there's always, it is you. You are the instrument, and your imagination, your feelings, your imagination, your body, your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual being is the instrument that you're playing, so that it has to be drawn from something that you know, but you can also put yourself in an empathetic way into the shoes of someone else and go through that for that story to be told. And I have spent much of my career going through what I call the manifest destiny characters. Squanto, Warrior's Tale was my first Disney movie. That we're now getting more integrated into the world fabric of American society, the fabric of society in general, because I think there was a lot of America's history where it was easier for all of us to just, sweep that under the rug. Should we just sweep that under the rug? That didn't really happen, right? But I've had that chance to be able to live through and tell a lot of those stories, and I'm really happy that now we're getting more chances to be the storytellers, and we're getting more chances to bring us into the current millennium.
Anybody else have a question?
Back to Wreck-It Ralph 2, all the princesses, do you all like still get together and like do a girl night out kind of thing? Or just hang out?
Yes, we do. Actually, I have a nice little thread that we're on all the time, and so we're always connecting with each other, enjoying each other's company, helping each other in those moments of our life's sorrows or hardships, and encouraging each other to, well, you are a princess,
It's pretty cool. I like to see princess there.
They're awesome.
That makes it all the better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just to know that they all talk and are friends like that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I hope that you girls get to do more together in the future, because I think it's such a dynamic group that's together, and people obviously love it. So I mean, fingers crossed. Does anyone else have any questions? Is there anything that you would like to leave them with as far as what's coming up, or anything inspirational that you may, no pressure, that you may want to deliver some sort of message? I think you're very inspirational. That's why I didn't mean to put you on the spot. And you can close however you'd like.
Well, I guess so, especially for this weekend. I mean, like I said, today, tomorrow, and Sunday for this weekend, enjoy each other so much. Just let your kid out, have a great time with each other, share, and have compassion and empathy. That's what we're here for. And I just love coming here, and I'm so happy to be here. So.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Isn't she wonderful? Thank you, Irene. I really